It's shameful. Y'all are a disgrace.
We're watching the fall of this administration.
What I think is interesting about this case, this story, is you can be...
Tensions in the small town of Dunn, Illinois, have reached a boiling point as local politics ignite fierce debate and division among residents. The growing conflict between Mayor Tiffany Henyard and Trustee Bella has evolved from a routine political disagreement into a high-stakes battle over power, transparency, and accountability. Bella has been vocal in her criticism of Henyard's leadership, particularly questioning the transparency of her administration. This has created a sharp divide within the community. Some residents stand by Henyard, believing she is navigating difficult circumstances to the best of her ability, while others support Bella's push for greater openness and stronger leadership. As the dispute escalates, town board meetings have turned into heated battlegrounds, with emotions running high on both sides. What began as a governance issue has transformed into a broader discussion about integrity, public trust, and the future of Dunn. The growing divide between Henyard's supporters and Bella's critics has left the town's political climate increasingly volatile. With no clear resolution in sight, concerns about the long-term stability of local government operations continue to mount. The stakes are high, and as both sides dig in, the town's future hangs in the balance. Residents anxiously await the next chapter in this unfolding political drama, knowing its outcome could shape Dunn for years to come.
With curiosity and concern, Tiffany Henyard addressed her constituents.
The Thornton Township Supervisor and Dalton Mayor invited the community to Township Talk, where she responded to our report about her use of the township credit card.
Tensions in the village of Dalton, Illinois, are steadily escalating as Trustee K. Bella continues to challenge Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration, particularly regarding financial matters. Bella, known for being one of the more outspoken members of the board, has closely monitored the village's financial decisions, raising concerns about expenditures that appear questionable or problematic. Critics have accused Henyard of overspending and deliberately obstructing the documentation process to evade scrutiny. Bella has emerged as a leading figure in exposing these issues, intensifying the rift between her and the mayor. This ongoing conflict has led to a growing divide within the community, with Henyard's leadership facing increasing criticism and skepticism. The contentious relationship between Bella and Henyard reached a breaking point during a recent board meeting when Bella raised pointed questions about the village's expenses, particularly those that seemed suspicious. She asked whether specific monetary figures had been predetermined for certain charges, only to discover that some expenses had been paid without prior board approval. Following a tense silence, the village's lawyer attempted to clarify, explaining that individual bills under $5,000 could be paid without authorization, with board approval granted retroactively. However, when Bella probed further, it was revealed that invoices had been deliberately split into smaller amounts, each under $5,000, to bypass the approval process altogether. Outraged by what she saw as a blatant violation of protocol, Bella refused to let the issue slide. She voted against the motion, calling the procedure ambiguous and deceptive, while questioning the integrity of the process. Henyard, on the other hand, defended the practice, asserting that the costs remained within the budget and dismissing Bella's objections as unnecessary theatrics. The mayor, known for preferring to handle internal affairs privately, clashed with Bella's stance on transparency. Bella, a staunch advocate for openness in local governance, argued that trustees had a responsibility to challenge the mayor and hold her accountable for financial decisions. Her comments received strong support from the audience, further fueling tensions in the room. The public response amplified the conflict between Henyard and the board, with many residents openly questioning the mayor's leadership. Rumors began circulating that Henyard's financial mismanagement was not an isolated incident, but rather part of a broader pattern of questionable spending, lack of transparency, and an overall disregard for accountability. Public frustration reached a boiling point when Henyard presented the village's budget at an unusually late hour, just minutes before the board was scheduled to vote on it. Bella expressed her frustration, accusing Henyard of deliberately preventing a thorough review of the budget before the vote. She pointed out that in previous years the budget had been presented much earlier, allowing residents ample time to review it and provide feedback. Henyard dismissed Bella's concerns, showing a clear disregard for public input and transparency. This secrecy, particularly regarding financial matters, deepened public distrust in Henyard's leadership. Bella, along with other trustees, argued that this approach was not only ineffective but also detrimental to the community's trust in its leaders. Bella's relentless push for greater transparency made her a prominent figure in the battle for accountability, while Henyard's reluctance to discuss financial matters openly only fueled doubts about her ability to govern effectively. As tensions continued to rise, it became evident that the conflict between the mayor and the trustees was far from over. The controversy surrounding Henyard's handling of finances reached new heights when it was revealed that the village's credit cards had been canceled the previous year. Trustee Jason House, along with other concerned residents, demanded an explanation after discovering that Henyard had authorized numerous transactions totaling tens of thousands of dollars without providing sufficient documentation. As investigations into these transactions unfolded, Henyard's leadership came under intense scrutiny. In a desperate attempt to shift blame, she accused board members and community figures of embezzling village funds. These baseless and inflammatory accusations only added to the mounting distrust in her administration. Despite growing evidence against her, Henyard maintained control over financial accounts and weekly defended the controversial expenses, insisting they were justified despite lacking proper documentation. A series of questionable transactions had been approved by the village's Financial Oversight Board, which included Henyard's own team. Emails from the bank later revealed that despite her earlier denials, Henyard had retained control over the accounts all along. As the scandal grew, she attempted to paint herself as a victim, claiming political opponents were trying to tarnish her reputation. However, this narrative only reinforced the perception that she was more focused on preserving her own image than addressing the village's financial concerns. The refusal to accept responsibility and the continued lack of accountability have pushed tensions to a breaking point. Once supported by a loyal base, Henyard now finds herself losing favor, as residents express growing dissatisfaction with her administration. The scandal, coupled with her secrecy and reluctance to provide transparency, has led many to question whether she is truly acting in the best interests of the village or simply prioritizing her political survival. As frustration mounts within the community, it has become clear that Henyard's leadership is no longer sustainable for many residents. The larger question facing Dalton now is whether her administration will continue to undermine the village's future by placing political maneuvering over the well-being of the community. With public trust in Henyard's leadership continuing to erode, the future of Dalton's governance remains uncertain. One significant development in Dalton's political landscape is the widening rift between Henyard and other trustees, particularly as financial transparency and governance remain key issues. While Bella and her colleagues advocate for openness and accountability, Henyard has repeatedly reminded the board that they do not manage the day-to-day operations of the village. This stance, however, has only fueled the perception that she is more concerned with consolidating power than serving the public. As political disputes continue to overshadow the village's pressing needs, residents are growing increasingly impatient with the lack of progress. Many, including Trustee Bella, believe that public officials should serve the interests of the community rather than their own political ambitions. Bella's persistent efforts to expose extravagant spending and promote transparency have earned both praise and criticism. However, her push for accountability has also made her a target within Henyard's increasingly defensive administration. Henyard has been accused of avoiding difficult questions and using her authority to dismiss concerns raised by board members. With Dalton's leadership at a crossroads, the village's future now hangs in the balance. Whether Henyard can regain public trust or whether a new leader will emerge to restore stability remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that Dalton's political scene has changed dramatically. The fallout from this ongoing turmoil is likely to shape the town's governance for years to come, leaving residents to wonder what lies ahead for their community.